friend, thank you for making time to watch this video that I pray will be valuable use of your time and that the information therein will be useful in one way or the other. In this channel, we pride ourselves to be able to desire to bring clarity on certain aspects of life. We desire to encourage you and challenge you to be consistent and also to be confident that one or two of the things that you may have as part of your life journey are achievable. And we request that if you've not subscribed, that you can consider subscribing. In the meantime, we'll be glad to interact with you, share your thoughts and your comments, and whatever other thoughts that will be useful for us and for this interaction. A story is told of a king. The king had 4 sons. And because in the kingdom there are many fruit trees, he encouraged the sons at different times of the year to go and just visit and see how the fruit tree looked like. They came and brought different reports. The first son went and said, I looked at the tree and it looks barren and hopeless. The second son, who went at a different time of the year, came back and said, you know what, I looked at the tree and it looked quite flowery and there's lots of hope. The third son came back with a report, again at a different time of the year, and said, the tree has lots of fruits and the birds are enjoying and celebrating because they have lots to feed from. He even met some people there. The fourth son came at a later date and said, you know, I didn't see any fruits, I didn't see any flowers. It would appear that the leaves were actually falling off. I wonder what you pick from those reports, because they had a conversation among all of them to just try and find out, so what do we learn from this? Now, this is a conversation they had, and it revolved around different seasons. And these different seasons are experienced not just among fruit trees, but also in our lives. In a short while, we can look at it. One, the time when the tree was barren and hopeless is what we can call the winter of our lives. And winter is a time when there's unpleasantness, when there's pain, when there's not so good things going around our lives. And then there's a time when there were the flowers, and that affirms, hope that there's something good that is loading, that is coming up. And that is what we call the spring, the springs of our lives. So the spring of our lives are the times when there's hope. We are perhaps young and going to school, or we are perhaps just getting married, or we've just gotten a new job opportunity. So there is good things that are loading up and that we can be able to ideally then take advantage of. Then there's a time when there's fruitfulness, there are fruits, and that's called the summer. So things are good, things are going on well. And so those are the summers of our lives. And the summers of our lives could be when we are working and we are busy and marriage is going on well, and work and opportunities are all around us. Things are beautiful. And those are called the summers of our lives. Then finally, we have the fall. And the fall is the time when now things seem to be slowing down. We are almost facing a reality check, as it were. Now, these 4 seasons that we experience, not just in our lives, but also in our marriages, in our businesses and institutions and various organizations that we belong to, are useful for us. Useful in many ways. Useful in the sense that the only reason why I would appreciate a good season is because I've experienced a bad one, or I have known that there can be a bad season. So all these seasons that all in many ways, and we agreed, have purposes, are useful for us to appreciate the next or the subsequent season. Now, the other thing that you also notice is that we have no control over these seasons. However, we have things that we can do for ourselves or from ourselves to make the best out of these seasons that we encounter. For example, if I am in a spring season, then I can take advantage and prepare. If I am in a summer season, then two possible things. When things are going on well, it is useful that I protect so that no bad things come and disrupt, as it were. But also that I keep building on the good so that when the bad comes on at a later stage, then I'll be best prepared. Then also, when it's the bad season, then I know, oh, perhaps it's time to slow down, it's time to get better, to get stronger, so that I'm able to be better for the future. So that because I know that there's going to be a time when things will be better, then I should prepare myself. Why is this useful? This is useful because these seasons that we experience in our lives are all temporary. They are all changing. And so it is useful that I prepare. It reminds me of a promise that God gave to Noah. And he told him, you know what? After a year or so of the earth being filled with the flooded waters and there was nothing much going on, he was locked up and he has just come out. Then God makes a promise and tells him, you know what? As long as the earth endures, summer and winter, day and night, cold and heat, seed time and harvest will be present. And so this is an affirmation, therefore, that the seasons that we see in nature, the seasons that we experience in our lives are temporary, but they are assured as things that will always be there. What therefore then should we do? Number one, it is useful that you assess the conditions and the situations of your life so that you know this is my current season. And that would naturally lead you to the next thing, which is act. Act in a way that anticipates. Act in a way that will be able to not just make the best out of the current season, but prepare yourself for the next season that you may encounter. There's an interesting story that is recorded elsewhere, and it's a story about ants. And the interesting thing about the ants is that when it is time for winter, they seem to have been prepared early. And when it's time for summer, they seem to be preparing for the winter season. And so we too can be able to, after assessing the current season of our lives, that we act in a way that anticipates. And knowing then that this season is temporary will compel me to ensure that I do not apply, so to speak, a permanent solution to a temporary situation so that I don't mess up my life. So let's be steady, acknowledge that life has different seasons. All of them are valuable in many ways, and anticipate, particularly because we know measure a lot on the bad season, anticipate that the good season is going to come. But also during the good season, anticipate that there could be a bad season coming. So I should prepare myself, and when it comes, I know that it's not only a natural thing, but it's a promise that God has made, and that it will always come to pass. Thank you very much for making time. I pray that it has been valuable information, and I look forward to interacting with you on the chat session, but also just interacting with you through more content that will be uploading in future. Thank you, and God bless you.